The neighborhood was quiet until Karen's voice sliced through it like a chainsaw through butter. "You think you're above the law? Huh?" she screeched, her chins wobbling as she waved a crumpled fine notice at my wife, Lena, who stood unfazed by our mailbox. Karen was the kind of woman who made nosy neighbor sound like a job title. At 300 pounds, with a perm that looked like it was styled by a lawnmower, she ruled our cul-de-sac like a dictator with a clipboard. Her latest obsession, our backyard shed, which she claimed was 3 inches too close to the property line. For weeks, she'd been slapping fines on our door, citing some obscure HOA rule nobody else could find in the handbook. Lena, my wife, had ignored every single one. Not out of defiance, but because she had bigger things to worry about, like leading FBI raids on drug cartels. That evening, I was sipping coffee on the porch, watching the circus unfold. Karen had escalated her crusade, calling 911 over Lena's blatant disregard for community standards. I could hear her now, her voice dripping with self-righteous venom. "Officer, this woman's shed is a danger to the neighborhood. She's ignoring fines. I demand action." Lena, in her FBI windbreaker, didn't even glance up from her phone. She was probably reviewing case files, not Karen's nonsense. I stifled a laugh. Karen had no idea who she was messing with. The conflict had been brewing for months. Karen moved into our quiet suburb last year, and it took her all of 2 days to start terrorizing the block. She'd report kids for chalk drawings on the sidewalk, lecture dog walkers about leash lengths, and once tried to fine old Mr. Jenkins for unapproved mailbox paint. Everyone hated her, but nobody dared cross her. Except Lena. My wife wasn't just any fed-up neighbor, she was a commander in the FBI's Tactical Operations Unit. A woman who'd stared down cartel bosses and defused hostage standoffs. A shed fine. To Lena, it was less than a mosquito bite. I leaned back in my chair, watching Karen stomp across her lawn, her flip-flops slapping the pavement like war drums. She was in her element, her face red with the thrill of authority. "You'll regret this," she yelled at Lena, who still hadn't acknowledged her. I could have warned Karen that poking a bear with a stick wasn't smart. But where's the fun in that? The police arrived 10 minutes later. 2 officers in a cruiser pulling up with a tired sigh. Karen rushed to them, waving her arms like she was directing traffic. "Arrest her," she demanded, pointing at Lena. "She's breaking the law." The officers, a young guy and a grizzled veteran, exchanged a look that said they'd dealt with Karens before. "Ma'am," the veteran officer said, stepping out, "what's the issue here?" Karen launched into a tirade, her voice hitting octaves that could shatter glass. "This woman," she spat, jabbing a finger at Lena, "is ignoring HOA fines for her illegal shed. It's a safety hazard. I've been warning her for weeks, and she just stands there, mocking me." Lena finally looked up, her hazel eyes calm but sharp, like a hawk sizing up prey. "Officer," she said, her voice steady, "there's no violation. The shed's been measured. It's within code." Karen's face twisted into a sneer. "Oh, please. You think you're so special, don't you? Just because you wear that fancy jacket doesn't mean you're above the rules." The younger officer raised an eyebrow, glancing at Lena's FBI windbreaker. "Ma'am," he said to Karen, "can you show us the regulation you're citing?" Karen fumbled, pulling out a crumpled HOA handbook. She flipped through it, her fingers trembling with rage, but couldn't find the rule. "It's in here somewhere." She insisted. She's just lying to get away with it. I couldn't help it, I snorted. Karen shot me a glare that could have melted steel. What's so funny? Huh? She snapped. You're just as bad as her. Enabling this anarchy. Anarchy, I said, grinning. Lady, it's a shed. The veteran officer sighed, rubbing his temples. Ma'am, if there's no clear violation, we can't do much here. This sounds like an HOA dispute, not a police matter. Karen's eyes bulged. Not a police matter. She's disrespecting the entire community. I'm the HOA president. I have rights. That's when Lena finally stepped forward, her calm demeanor cracking just enough to show the steel underneath. Karen, she said, her voice low, you've been harassing us for weeks. You've trespassed on our property to measure that shed. You've left threatening notes. And now you're wasting police resources over a non-issue. Do you really want to keep pushing this? Karen laughed. A harsh, grating sound. Threatening me. Oh, honey, you're out of your league. I've dealt with people like you before. You think you're tough. I'll have your shed torn down by tomorrow. The officers exchanged another look. The younger one cleared his throat. Ma'am, maybe we should all calm down. Calm down. Karen shrieked. I'm protecting this neighborhood. She's the one who needs to be taught a lesson. That's when it happened. Lena's phone buzzed, and she glanced at it, her expression shifting from annoyed to focused. She held up a finger to the officers. 1 second, she said, stepping away to take the call. I knew that look. She was getting a work call. Probably something big. Karen, oblivious, kept ranting. See, she's ignoring you too. Typical. People like her think they're untouchable. The veteran officer tried to interrupt. Ma'am, please. But Karen was on a roll. I'm calling the city council. I'm calling the mayor. I'll have her badge. Her job. Everything. Lena hung up, her face unreadable. She walked back to the group, her boots clicking on the pavement. Karen, she said, her voice like ice. You might want to rethink your priorities. Karen scoffed. Oh, please. What are you going to do? Call your little FBI friends. Lena didn't answer. Instead, she turned to the officers. Gentlemen, I'm Commander Lena Harper, FBI Tactical Operations. I've got a raid to lead in 20 minutes, so I'd appreciate it if we could wrap this up. The officer's eyes widened. The younger one stammered. Yes, ma'am. Commander Harper, we didn't realize. Karen's jaw dropped, her face paling. Commander, you're lying. Lena pulled out her badge, the FBI seal glinting under the streetlights. Not lying. And Karen, I've been patient, but you're crossing lines. You've been reported for harassment by 3 neighbors already. Keep this up, and I'll make sure the right people look into your little HOA power trip. The veteran officer nodded, turning to Karen. Ma'am, I suggest you go inside and let this go. You don't want to escalate this further. Karen sputtered, her face a mix of rage and humiliation. This isn't over. She hissed, but her voice lacked conviction. She stormed back to her house, slamming the door so hard the windows rattled. The officers apologized to Lena, who waved it off with a tired smile. Just doing your job, she said. They drove off, leaving the street quiet again. I walked over to Lena, who was already back on her phone, coordinating her raid. Think she'll back off? I asked. Lena smirked. Doubt it. But she'll learn. The next morning, Karen's reign of terror unraveled. Word spread that she'd been caught forging HOA documents to justify her fines. Mr. Jenkins, the mailbox guy, had recorded her trespassing on his property. Another neighbor found proof she'd been pocketing HOA fees for landscaping. That never happened. By noon, the neighborhood had filed a formal complaint with the city, and Karen's HOA presidency was revoked. That evening, as Lena and I sat on our porch, a moving truck pulled up to Karen's house. She stood on her lawn, barking orders at the movers, her face a mask of defeat. I raised my coffee mug in a mock toast. To karma, I said. Lena laughed, her eyes glinting. To justice. Karen left the neighborhood the next day, her tail between her legs. The shed, still standing, 3 inches in all. The end.